Okay, so next video. So things are looking good. We could leave it at this, but we want to go. We want to do as much as we possibly can that's going to help boost the ranking. And if we do these little bits, it's going to boost the ranking. So no meta description has been specified. So that's this part in this snippet preview. So it makes sense here for me to put something like air conditioning top tips, which matches the title, the slug. So it's our focus keyword from Thermocool Solutions. I might put something like a little dash. So that's it. So I've just written something that's got my focus keyword in. I've got the company name in, and then I've just put a little bit of a descriptor of what the article's about. So it's helping to keep you on top of your AC maintenance to achieve optimum performance and prolong the life of your system. So even more green things now, 9 of them. So I'm going to close snippet editor. Just going to save that preview. Save draft. I should just mention about that. So saving a draft it's just saving what we've done so far without actually publishing it on the front end of the website. So we want to make sure it's all really nice and optimized before we actually publish it. So we've got lots of green bits now. We've got 9. So this is already looking very good, but we want, as I say, better than good. So an improvement we could make is to add a link. So it's saying no outbound links appear in this page. Consider adding some as appropriate. So an outbound link is a link from our website to another website. As it says, like outbound, an internal or inbound, or like an internal link would be a link to another page on our website. Sometimes it does. It's no internal links appear in this page. Consider adding some as appropriate. And so we've basically got these 3 things to deal with now. If we do these 3, we're going to get a perfect article. So it's saying no images appear in this page. Consider adding some as appropriate. And that's important because people don't really read. What we're hoping to achieve with this is that it's going to get this listing high up in Google. It's going to push the main Thermocool domain to be higher in Google or Bing, and people will click on that and then take a look at maybe a few pictures and think, right, yeah, they look alright, I'm going to give them a call and see if we can get them to do some work. So it's a bit soul destroying, really, that you're writing all this content and making it really good and people aren't actually going to read it. But just know it is going to make a huge difference. So what we'll look at now is images. So what I've done is I've just quickly grabbed articles it was. So I've quickly grabbed some images. They don't have to be exactly about what we're writing about. We just want some images, basically. So I've grabbed these from Dave's. He did me a folder with lots of different images that we can use. I think you guys have got access to this as well. It's in the OneDrive. So the important thing here is if I hover over that. So this image is 445k. That's too big, basically, to go on the web. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this. Now I use Photoshop. You don't need Photoshop. You can use Paint. There's lots of free alternatives out there. But this is what I use, so I'm just going to show you quickly how I'd resize it. There are websites that you can use to resize it. There's lots of different ways of achieving this. So this is showing pretty much what I've just been writing about is in our article about keeping the exterior unit clear of debris. So that's, it's outside. It looks more like a residential property than I can't think of the word. Than a commercial property. So, and it looks nice and clean. You can see it's probably a new install that Dave's done, isn't it? Or it's one that's been very well maintained anyway. So that's exactly what we want, this type of image. But what we need to do is just reduce the size, because that's 50%. If I do the actual size, it's really big. Too big really for what we need, and again, just so much involved in SEO these days that if you upload, there could be like really nice looking images that show exactly what we want, but if you send a user to that page and force them to open an article that's got images in that are like 5 megabytes, for instance, that's going to use, if you had 10 images on that page, all at 5 megabytes, that's going to take 50 megabytes of data just for them to download, to view the images. So Google and Bing and the search engine algorithms, that's another thing that they look at. If you're using these massive high-res images, are you doing your potential customers out of the data where you could display the exact same image and no loss of quality at a much smaller file size? So the first thing I'm going to do, and it's very similar in different programs, or as say like there are online versions you can use. So I'm just going to come into image size and I'm just going to resize it. Now, if you think of most people are going to view websites on the phone or a tablet these days. You get a few that use desktops and laptops, but primarily people are using mobile devices. So the kind of maximum width that's going to be displayed on a mobile is definitely not going to be any more than 1,000 pixels. It's probably going to be around 800 pixels. So I'm going to set this to 1,000. because I know that's then it's going to be definitely it's going to be big enough. So I'm resizing that. As you can see, it's just stepped it down. But then if I save this out now, it's probably still going to be quite a large file size. But if I have this facility to save for web, so what it's going to do, it's going to actually compress this image. So at the minute we can see it's saying this is going to come out at about 305k, which ain't bad. It's where we were saying before, if we had 10 images and they were all 5 megabyte, it would use 50 megabytes of data. If we had 10 of these images, it's going to use a lot less. It's going to use like roughly 3 megabytes of data. But we can make it even smaller. So I'm going to bring it down to like 20. I'm going to try. So that's on 20. I've got that right down to 228.3k. I can just see sort of on the red, and you'll notice this, it's always red that seems to lose quality first in images. The rest of that image is still really nice and sharp. And by the time we put it on the website, it's going to be even sharper. Because 100%. So if I fit, so I'm going to make it small, so it's going to actually sharpen it up more. 228 is better. What we want to aim for is 100k or less. The more colours in an image, and obviously you can see that's got a lot of different colours. It's got some reds, different reddy browns, black, green, and almost whites. So there are a lot of colours in there, and the more colours, the bigger the file size. 228 would be okay, we could get away with that. The other thing I could do is I could say, right, well, do I really need it 1,000? If I make it 800, what's that going to reduce it by? So that's going to drop it down to 149.1k, so that's even better. So I think I'm going to go with that. So I'm going to save it. I've created this. It's just in my folders. I've got a folder called articles, and then each one you can just name with the title. And then I like to do this. I'll call it edit or optimized, and then I just stick them in there. Now, conscious I'm running out of time almost, but this is the most important bit, is naming the image. If I put that in, Google ain't got a clue what it's looking at. It's a random image with some numbers. If I put air conditioning top tips, and then I could even go further and I could say outside unit. If I save that and then come back into the article, we want to add this to where it says featured image. I'm going to upload that. Chemical articles, aircon edit, air conditioning top tips, outside unit. So it's uploading that, and then we want to put in here saying air conditioning top tips outside unit.